evening, good morning. Thank you for coming to this course and this class. Today we're doing class 3 of how of the Bodhisattva vows, and it's going to be about how the vows are taken. And I see that Sharon Chow is decked out with beautiful garland of flowers on her head. Which is quite appropriate for the vow ceremony, actually. So let's just take a moment and be very clear about our motivation for taking this course and for coming to take this class today. Make your motivation very personal, individual to you. What makes your heart sing? And make your motivation as big as possible. And then if you'd like, you can join in doing prayers with me. Sachi Puki Jukshin Meto Tram Rira Blingshi Ninde Gempadi Sangye Shindu Mikte Uwargi Drokun Namdak Shingla Chuparsho Yidam Guru Ratna Mandalakam Niryatayami Sangye Chudan Soki Chuknam La Changchu Pardu Dakni Kyapsu Chi Daki Chishe Kipe Sunam Ki Jola Penchir Sangye Juparsho Sangye Chudan Soki Chuknam La Changchu Pardu Dakni Kapsuchi Daki Chishe Gipe Sunam Ki Jola Benshir Sangye Duparsho Sangye Charan Suki Chuknam La Jangchu Pardu Dakni Kapsuchi Daki Chishe Kipe Sunam Ki Jola Pinchir Sangye Druparsho show. So before we jump into the content for today, does anybody have any questions from previous classes? No? Okay. I have the most brilliant students on the planet. No question. Okay. Oops. Did I do the right thing? Yes, I did the right thing. There it is. So, if you recall, we talked about one way of dividing bodhicitta into two. Last week, we talked about this. One is called munsem, and one is called juksem. Does anybody remember what those are, what those mean, those words?
Yeah, Moonsam is the bodhicitta in the form of prayer, and Chuksam is the bodhicitta in the form of action.
Yes, wonderful. Thank you so much. That sounded like tin.
Yeah, thank you very much, Venerable Utpala.
And what is bodhicitta? That's a foreign word, a Sanskrit word. But what does bodhicitta mean?
The wish for enlightenment. Yeah. The
And
wish
the
for the wish to become fully enlightenment for the sake of all living beings.
yes, right. That second part is also very important. The wish to become completely, totally enlightened in order to benefit all living beings. So, bodhicitta has these two forms, uh, the wish in the form of a prayer and the wish in the form of action, as Tim said. Um, and it may sound at first hearing that the wish in the form of a prayer, may I become totally enlightened in order to benefit all living beings. It sounds like that is an easy thing, a simple thing. But the trick is all living beings. So this wish, this prayer to become fully enlightened in order to benefit every living being is not so common, and we need to work to generate the fullness of that prayer, of the wish to benefit all living beings, including ourselves, but all living beings, even the red ant who climbs my leg and bites me, even the person who crashes their car into my car, even the person who makes up lies about me, horrible lies, and spreads them around to other people. even that person, even that partner who cheated on me with someone else, even that person who stole from me, all living beings, each and every living being. And there are practices we can do to generate that wish in the form of a prayer in our heart very clearly. And while we don't talk about it so much in this course, it will be in the courses that are related to Master Shantideva's Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life. But if you recall the meditation that I did with you on the first day of, contemplating the suffering of someone that you love and care for, and your current inability to help that person, you can get the feeling of what that is for that one person, right? That person that you care about, that prayer that you could help them. And so you can take that's like a glimmer, or like the start of a fire. If we think about the fire as the wish to become totally enlightened, going through that meditation with the one person you care about starts this little flame. And then if we think about how every living being, each and every other living being is suffering,
Nhắm vào,
and
nhanh
we can't help them.
cái gì không thôi không muốn nhắm mắt rồi để ngủ.
So we have
Muốn
some
coi lại thức mẹ thì gì đó. Không có thức
commentary going on in
Nhắm mắt
another
vào ngủ
language.
được
At least I hear commentary in another language.
dạ nha.
So if we think about the suffering that every living being who's, if you're like me, trapped in this cycle of suffering, and I can't help them now, and they're trapped only because of a simple mistake. The mistake of thinking that things have some nature of being what they are from their own side, especially me. But all of me, like my stuff, my house, my car, my friends, my parents, my children. That simple mistake causes us to be trapped in this cycle of suffering. But to guide people to understanding this simple mistake, to realizing that there is nothing that has any nature of being what it is from its own side. That's very challenging. We can speak the words, but to know precisely the words that a particular individual needs to hear, the words that will awaken in them an understanding of the teachings and a desire to practice, to get into to reach a level of meditation where they can be single pointed on the lack, the absence of coming from its own side. That we can't do. A Buddha can do that. Number one, a Buddha is fully awake, has removed all obstacles. A Buddha experiences bliss and happiness in every moment. And so they are not, their minds, their bodies are not hindered by any kind of mental disturbance or even physical disturbance. They're made of light. And they're omniscient. They see us. They see what we're thinking. They see what we're feeling. They see all the things that we have done in all our beginningless lives. They are unhindered from knowing precisely how to benefit us. So if we could reach that state, then we can help not only those we care about, but all living beings. So this wish, to want to benefit people, to want to be on this path that is described for us of how to remember, we talked about collecting goodness, right? This path of collecting goodness so that we can have a storehouse of positive seeds big enough that could ripen into us one day opening our eyes and seeing ourselves as a body made of light and a mind that sees all things at all times and that is constantly, always, 100% benefiting all living beings. That excitement, I mean, that excitement, we say in English, fans the flame. Which if you have a campfire, if you've ever gone camping, you start with a little teeny flame and you gently blow on it. And then it reaches, the flame grows, and then you fan the flame. And then the flame becomes very large. So that kind of thinking will increase that feeling in your heart. And to have the feeling is very, I think, crucial. It's not an intellectual thing. It's not just the thought, I want to benefit others. It's like the drive, the wish that you want to help others. Okay, so how do these two types of bodhicitta, how are they related to taking the vows? We have the wish in the form of a prayer, and then we have the wish in the form of action. And we talked before about juksem, the wish in the form of action, as taking the vows, the bodhisattva vows, and practicing the bodhisattva activities, the 6 perfections. So when we talk about the actual ceremony, like for example, the ceremony that Geshe Michael will be giving bodhisattva vows when he is in Kyoto next month. And I have confirmed that he will also be giving them to people who can't be there in person, but can attend online. So if you are interested to take them, this is a wonderful opportunity to do so. It's not a requirement. You should want to take them. And if you want to take them, then this is a great opportunity. So you'll see in the reading, there's this little discussion where this is from Jason Kappa, and he has a discussion about the ceremony itself. And there were some who had 2 different ceremonies. That first you would go to a ceremony and generate this wish in the form of a prayer. And then, then you say, thank you very much. And now I'm going to go work on developing this prayer in my heart, fanning this flame. And then you come back sometime later, and the Lama would give you the Bodhisattva vows. So 2 separate ceremonies. Munsem, first ceremony, wish in the form of a prayer, and Juksem, second ceremony, wish in the form of action, in this case, taking the vows. Now, Arya Nagarjuna has a ceremony for developing wish in the form of a prayer, and it's very beautiful. And Tisha has a ceremony that has both wish in the form of a prayer and taking the vows, wish in the form of action, in one ceremony. So I hope to say this in a way that's not confusing, because if you read the answer keys, which ask you, what does Jason Kappa think about this, about the 2 ceremonies, first going for the wish in the form of a prayer, and then end of ceremony, go home, practice developing your wish, then come back and do ceremony 2 to take the vows. In the reading, he says that first he says that in the Arya Nagarjuna ceremony, the vows are included if you know how to read it correctly. And he says that it's not quite correct to have two separate ceremonies. And he says, even so, it's a good idea. It's a good idea to have developed, because the wish in the form of a prayer, it needs to be developed. It's not something we all have, naturally in our hearts. We need to develop it. And so he says it's a good idea if you have a very strong wish before you take the vows. It would make the vows you take, it would make them stronger in your heart because your motivation is so intense. But the answer key says that he thinks it's a good idea. So my recommendation for those who are who like to get 100% correct answers on your answer key, on your homeworks and quizzes, that you put in your answer both parts. And you'll find the wording in your reading that Jason Kappa says it's not correct to have two, but it's also a good idea to first generate the wish in the form of a prayer strongly before taking the vows, because it will help make the vows stronger in your heart. Tempa. More firm, more stable. Tempa. And I'll just say this for good luck. This is from Arya Nagarjuna's ceremony on developing bodhicitta. Jangchuk Chuchokyeong Cheparki. So the ceremony itself has three main stages. Say Jorwa, Mushi. Oh, I did the wrong thing. Mushi. Low tone. Mushi. And Jukcho. Jorwa means the preparatory stage. Mushi, that's the stage where the vows are actually given from the teacher to the student. Or they call him a candidate when you talk about vow ceremonies. They call the person receiving the vows a candidate. And then Juk Chok, which is the completion of the ceremony. Okay, that seems pretty simple, right? Juk Chok, or I'm sorry, Jorwa has many parts, and many parts that have parts. So this gets a bit detailed, the preliminary stages. So as with like meditation, doing the preliminaries is very important to for providing a good container for your meditation by doing the preliminaries. And we went through that in course 3, if you haven't taken that yet. By doing the preliminaries, you're setting yourself up for your mind to be in the best state that you can be in that moment for meditation. So similarly, the preliminary stage of taking vows, whether you're taking refuge vows or bodhisattva vows or diamond way vows or any kind of layperson lifetime vows, the preliminaries are very important for the vows. That's part of the ceremony, the lushi, where you get the vows to, I don't know, have the best chance of success. That sounds sort of, I don't know, very businesslike, but it provides the best conditions, the best support for the vows to take hold in your mind, in your heart. So we'll go through these parts. So there are 5 parts to the preliminary stage, 5 parts to Jorwa. The first part is called Sulwa Dapa. Sulwa Dapa. And you may have heard, if you've been around these teachings, you may have heard Sulwan Dep, which is very similar. You see the Sulwa is the same. And this part, Dapa and Ndep, are also very similar. Oh dear. Sulwa Dapa means to request. So that you request your teacher to give you vows. I say your teacher, but we're going to talk about that. From whom can you take bodhisattva vows? So first, there are some details about the person who is requesting that to receive the vows. That person can be ordained or not ordained. Anyone can take bodhisattva vows. And remember, bodhisattva vows, you don't lose them when you die. So you have to be human to actually take them, because there's like physical things that you do in the ceremony. There are verbal things you do in the ceremony. There are mental things you do in the ceremony. And beings that aren't human have a difficult time with those things. So even though, you may have actually a cat or a dog, a bird, one of your pets may have bodhisattva vows. They may have taken bodhisattva vows in a previous life as a human. I have suspicions about some cats that I have known. So that's the first thing to say. You can be ordained or not ordained. The second thing to say is that you have Munsem, you have the wish in the form of a prayer to some degree in your heart. You don't have to have it 100%. But you have it to some degree. And you have a motivation to have it 100%. You have a motivation like to take these vows actually will help you generate that motivation as well. They can feed on each other. So even if you only have a half-hearted feeling in your heart, if the fire is not blazing, it's just a little fire. That's okay, as long as you have some little flame. The third thing is that you intend to keep the vows. And I'm saying you as in you, everybody who wants to take them. So you have the intent to keep the three moralities. Remember, we talked about the three moralities? So you intend to keep the vows. If someone were to go in and let's say, we're next in future classes in this course, we're going to talk about the individual vows. And let's say that there's some vow that you learn about and say, oh, well, that's ridiculous. I'm never keeping that vow. That's crazy. I like the other ones. So I'll take the Bodhisattva vows, but I'm not going to do that one. You can't have that kind of thought. A person who has that kind of thought in their mind, the vows they won't really get the vows. So there must be an intention to keep the vows. And this also is related to people who go to take vows because, oh, Geshe Michael is giving vows. Such a rare opportunity. Take them now. Yes, it's a rare opportunity. Yes, it's Geshe Michael, an extraordinary being. And yes, a whole bunch of people are doing it, people but those aren't reasons to take the vows. The reasons to take the vows that we must have in our hearts, at least to some degree, is a wish to benefit other living beings. And the intention to keep these vows, to practice this bodhisattva path to the best of our ability. And not do it because everybody else is doing it. That's not that not only doesn't prepare you well for the ceremony, you don't really get the vows. If you're just going along in a flow, doing what everyone else is doing. It's an individual decision. It's your decision based on your desire, your mind, what you want to see in the world, what you want to see in your experience. So that's those are details related to the person asking for the vows. Now details for a person who gives the vows. They can be male or female. They can be ordained or not. Better if they are ordained, but it's not necessary. It's beneficial if the person from whom you receive the bodhisattva vows is also someone who could give you the diamond way vows later on, not now, not at this point in spiritual practice, but when the time comes, right? That you start to, when you take the bodhisattva vows, you're starting to build this relationship with this person for your like spiritual career. So it'd be best, it's not a requirement, but it would be best if it were a person who could also give you diamond way vows later on. That person should have munsam. They should have the wish in the form of a prayer. They also need to have the vows. They need to have the wish in the form of action. Best if you find someone who keeps their vows perfectly and it's very clear to you that they have the wish in the form of a prayer strongly. Of course, how can we ever know? Everyone in our experience is a reflection, right, of our own mind, basically. Everyone we experience is a mental image that ripens out of our own past actions. So we cannot know for sure, like really, but we do have our experience, right? And that's basically all we have to work with on this spiritual path is what ripens for us, what our experience is. That's where we are. That's where we do the work. So you try and find someone who has all these qualities, realizing that they are empty of having any quality from their own side. And also, like we've different courses have brought up like the 10 qualifications of a teacher. And when these qualifications come up, there's always the advice that, if you can't find someone who has them all perfectly, look for them. But if you can't find them, take them from someone who has, a good amount of them. Someone who at least recognizes the value of keeping morality. The next thing is that the person should not have degenerated in their practice of the 6 perfections. They should not have, given up on one or more of the 6 perfections. So the 6 perfections those are the activities of bodhisattvas. That's what bodhisattvas do. We just happen to call them 6 perfections. So Geshe Kappa goes through the perfections and gives examples of failing in a perfection, what that would look like. So the first one, perfection of, can anyone tell me? perfection of giving or generosity. And in this practice,
perfection.
There's this phrase called "de chung chokshe." Say "de chung chok she." "De chung" means doesn't want much, not attached to having a lot of things, of needing a lot of things, not running around trying to get more things or get better things. That's de chung. De means desire, and chung means little. So having little desire. And chokshe means satisfied or content with whatever they get. So whether it's going to a restaurant and the food is not so good, that's okay. It's food. I'm happy. It will nourish my body. I'll take this food. Going to a hotel and the mattress is not so good. It's either too hard or too soft. That's okay. They say, oh, I can sleep there. I don't need much. That's perfectly fine. Their clothes get out of style or get rips or tears in them. That's okay. It still works. If I get around to sewing up the rip, that's okay. I'll do that. And if not, well, okay, there's a rip in my shirt. That's just the way it is. So Geshe Kappa says a person who has failed in this practice, they're attached to objects, to things, and we shouldn't take a vow from a person like that. The second of the 6 perfections is the perfection of morality. So 2 examples here. One is, and remember these are examples, one would be a monk or a nun who has broken one of their main root vows. They're called pampa. Pampa. So if the bodhisattva has monastic vows and broke one of the root vows, then it's not a good idea to take vows from a person like that. The second example is if the person just in general doesn't respect morality or vows. If they say like, oh, that really doesn't matter. You don't need that vow. That one is not so important. That one's kind of hard to keep. Don't worry about it. If they have like this attitude about vows, then Geshe Kappa says we shouldn't take from them because they're failing in their practice of the perfection of morality. The third is the perfection of not getting angry. So this, Geshe Kappa says, a person who gets upset easily, who gets angry easily, especially someone who keeps anger over a period of time. Like if a person gets angry and then restrains themselves, they're working on controlling their anger. They're practicing the perfection of not getting angry. They're practicing restraining themselves. If someone is letting their anger go on and on and on for hours or days or months, they're failing in their practice of the perfection of not getting angry. Then the fourth perfection, the perfection of joyous effort. Someone who is like sort of lazy, or not really lazy, because this joyous effort has to do with delight in planting good seeds, right? Delight in serving others. The Bodhisattva path is serving others. So if they're, someone who doesn't, like, they're just not really interested in serving others, they're sort of lazy about that. They don't care much about it. Their practice of the fourth perfection is degenerating. The perfection of concentration, that's the fifth perfection. So an example is a person who is failing, is a person who is easily distracted from meditation. Like they sit down to meditate and then they think, oh, wait a minute. I just remembered that a new episode of my favorite shows just came out. I think I want to go watch that instead of meditate. Like that. That person is failing in their practice of the perfection of concentration. And then the perfection of wisdom, the opposite, or failing in the practice of the perfection of wisdom, would be someone who has become or is becoming spiritually stupid, which is a result of not practicing the perfection of morality very well, right? We need the practice of morality to support all the other perfections. It definitely supports our practice of the perfection of concentration. So failing in the practice of the perfection of wisdom would be like losing ability to concentrate on the Dharma, losing the ability to understand finer points of different philosophical schools, or losing the ability to memorize things, starting to put down other teachers or put down the teachings of the greater way. I mean, definitely, if the person says, oh, this bodhisattva stuff is all stupid, that practice of the perfection of wisdom is failing. So that's about the person giving vows. So now there are details about, we're still in the preliminary part of the ceremony, right? And we're still in the first part. So details now about what the candidate, the person who is requesting the vows, what they should do. So you should make the place where the ceremony will be held very beautiful, very clean, very beautiful. There should be images of the teacher, of the Buddha, and other images on an altar. There should be a special high seat set up for the teacher who will be giving the vows. Just a personal story here is that when I first took Bodhisattva vows a long time ago, it was actually, I think, was it no, it was the second retreat I ever went to, but so our teacher, there was a group of us there, like 50 people, and she's offering to give us the vows, and a fully ordained nun. And so she just said, okay, we'll give the vows at 2:00. So we all show up at 2:00. The custom was that we would all be in the room before she comes in. So we're there and, welcoming her with respect into the room. She took one step in the room and said, "This is a disgrace." She turned around and walked out. We hadn't done anything. We hadn't cleaned the room. We hadn't made special offerings. We had not made the place beautiful. So we spent the next 2 hours doing that as a group. And then she came back and gave us the vows. But that was a very good lesson. So once the teacher comes, then and if it's with like a whole group of people or you're doing it online, you should just visualize this. But you touch their feet with respect. So you're bowing down and you're touching their feet with respect. And then you offer them a mandala, which is a whole universe filled with lovely offerings. Traditional, in the way old days, it would be a platter piled high with flower petals. And then later there were these very ornate, you may have seen mandala kits where there's rings of metal of increasingly smaller size. And you use rice and you use very like jewels and beautiful shells and things like that. And there's a whole prayer that you do while constructing this mandala, or you use this mudra of, and this represents that in your mind, you're visualizing a universe filled with offerings that you're making to your teacher. And then you, the person who's requesting the vows, makes a request 3 times to indicate that they really want these vows. And then the person kneels down, and there are different ways of kneeling down. This particular ceremony is pretty short. So you can try the most the most challenging position. I can't really show you because the video's not good, but there's one where you sort of kneel down, but you're not quite kneeling. You're right. So let's get down like you're kneeling on your right knee, and then your left leg is, going out straight and down. And you're supported like that. But the posture is really, the knee doesn't quite touch the ground. You're sort of crouching. And you're holding your hands like this. And that one is more challenging to hold. That's like the traditional posture. You can put your knee down. That's more comfortable. That's more stable. You can put both knees down and sort of like sit on your heels for long ceremonies, especially. That's easier to do. And you hold your hands like this when you're taking the vows. Then the teacher will, the person giving the vows, will talk about the benefits of the vows. The benefits of taking the vows, that how you can benefit every living being and lead them from suffering. They say there's a story that's usually told at this point where if you were able to make an offering of, like, let's say, a pile of jewels to all the Buddhas on all the planets in all the universes, as well as all the bodhisattvas in all the Buddha paradises in all of the universes. If you compare making that kind of offering with taking the bodhisattva vows and not even keeping them very well, you get far more virtue from taking the bodhisattva vows. And even if you don't keep them very well, try. There's far more, you collect far more good seeds than if you were to make, millions of dollars of offerings. The teacher will explain which vows are more serious and which are less serious. Remember, we talked about root vows and secondary vows. So the root vows are the most serious. The secondary are less serious. And then the teacher should, this is a fun word here, sengtupa. Make the student, the candidate, happy. Basically talking about how you know, you're taking the vows now, which is so excellent because you have to take them at some point in your life anyway. If you want to become fully enlightened, you must take the vows. So it's just wonderful that you're taking the vows now. So I see a question here. Olesia, what we should do if we're taking the vows online. Geshe Michael may give, direct instructions to people who are taking the vows online. But I would suggest, just spending time to make the room where you're going to be taking the vows very clean. Get some flowers. Have an image of Geshe Michael, if that's what we're talking about, taking vows with him online. Have an image of Geshe Michael. Have an image of whoever is important in your life spiritually. An image of the Buddha. You may have other teachers. You can have their images. Make sure that also you are very clean. It's not just the space, but you've taken a shower, you're wearing clean clothes. And it's in terms of kneeling and hold, I would definitely do the hand mudras. If you can kneel and watch your monitor easily, then do that. If it's not possible, then don't worry. You can in your mind just see yourself as being respectful to the teacher. That's what the physical posture is about, showing respect. So now we've finally finished the first of the 5 parts of the preparatory stage. We have many more parts to go. Here's the second part of the preliminary stage, is called Sokdrupa. Sokdrupa. And this means literally collecting a collection. And what this means really is that you invite all the Buddhas and all the Bodhisattvas to come into the room with you. Please come and be a witness to me taking the Bodhisattva vows. And it's good if you think that that they're there, that you feel that you are in their presence of these incredible beings, these people who have perfected their hearts and their minds, are there with you, watching you, being a witness to you taking these vows. The third of the 5 parts of the preliminary stage is kind of funny. Dompa Nyurdu Kulwa. That means, please give me the vows quickly. Not because it's uncomfortable to be in this kneeling position, but because I need the vows. I want to be able to start having these vows and practicing the Bodhisattva life. Please grant them quickly. So that's the third step. The fourth of the 5 preliminary is Troa Kepa. And that is to feel joy, to feel like so privileged and happy to be in the position of being able to take on the practices where you can collect immense amounts of merit so that you can become enlightened. The more happiness we have, I mean, it's just like, I mean, if you took the karma course, being rejoicing about the good things we have done makes those seeds more powerful. So this is part of the official ceremony, is to feel joy. And then the last part of the preliminaries is called Parche Driwa. And this is where the person giving the ceremony will ask questions of the candidates. And it's very similar. There's a similar thing that we do when taking monastic vows. And this is just the name of the person who asks the questions, Sangtun. But anyway, the one who is giving the vows will ask question: do you have the wish in the form of a prayer? Do you have the wish to help all living beings? Even though your knee hurts, do you still have the wish? Do you really want these vows? Or did someone force you to come here? Or are you just coming here because, hey, it's a free thing online? I had a few minutes. I thought I'd join in. Or just because everyone else is doing it. Do you understand the vows? Do you understand what you're setting yourself up for? Living the rest of your lives, not just this one, all future lives. Do you understand what you're doing? And do you believe you'll be able to keep the vows? At least, shungse, which means at least a little bit. Do you feel you'll be able to keep the vows at least a little bit? And the person is supposed to answer, the candidate is supposed to answer, yeah, I think I'll be able to keep them a little bit. So they ask questions like that. Then, okay, finally, we're done with the preliminary part of the ceremony for taking the vows. Now there's the actual ceremony, the ngushi, if you remember. The Lama says, or the teacher, one giving the vows, says, will you take the Bodhisattva vows from me? And they say it 3 times. And the candidate says, yes. 3 times. That's it. Okay, next stage. That's basically it. That's the whole main event. Will you take the vows? Yes. Will you take the Bodhisattva vows from me? Yes. Will you take the Bodhisattva vows from me? Yes. That's it. The main event is done. I think we do things 3 times. I've thought about this, because that's it's a common thing you see in different ceremonies and rituals, is saying things 3 times. Sometimes more. Sometimes we have to say things 21 times, or more. But anyway, I sort of think that in case your mind like skips off what you're doing for a second, if you lose attention, if you say it 3 times, then there's a greater possibility that your mind has been paying attention to all the words at least 1 time. But there could be a deeper meaning. I don't know. Okay, then the conclusion of the ceremony, the jukchok. This has 3 parts. Or no, I'm sorry, 4 parts. This is the 3rd major part of the ceremony, jukchok, the conclusion, and it has 4 parts. Okay, the first of the 4 parts is that you ask the Buddhists and Bodhisattvas, all of the ones that you've invited here, you ask them to witness what you've done, which of course they already have because you just did it. And it's kind of like, did you see? Did you see? I took them. Did you notice? And I'm going to keep the vows. And then you get up and you make prostration. Because they're surrounding you, all these Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, you make prostrations in all directions. So usually you start with the east, and then you go south, then west, then north. So that's 4 directions. And you make 3 prostrations in each direction. 4 times 3, that's 12 prostrations so far. There are 10 directions. You've done 4. So ordinal directions, I have not done the ordinal directions. But the way you do the directions of above and below, the way you do those is by prostrating again to the east and the west. So you make 3 prostrations to the east again, and then 3 prostrations to the west. So altogether, that's 18. Right? If I did my math correctly. I was not a math major. And this certainly you can do in your own home if you're taking them online. Then the second part of the conclusion is we get to have Sengtupa again. The Lama will, or the person giving the vows, will be rejoicing to pump you up for having just taken these vows, to get you excited about having just taken these vows. And they'll probably tell the story of whenever anyone takes the Bodhisattva vows, it's like an earthquake spreads throughout the universe. And the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and all the paradises get jolted by this earthquake. And they're like, oh, someone just took their vows. Because what you're doing in taking the vows is so extraordinary. It really is so extraordinary. To think, to be pledging your life, all your future lives, to care for others, to serve others. Normally we're just concerned about this one. We've just taken a huge step in taking these vows. In fact, there's a prayer that you do, Arya Nagarjuna, in his ceremony, where, now I've joined the family of Buddhists. I am their spiritual child. You're a very different person after taking those vows than before. Then the last part of the ceremony, the third of the last part of the ceremony, is you make a tongue rock, which is an offering of thanksgiving. So not only the people who take the vows make this offering, but also the person who gives the vows is making this offering. And then typically in a group, it's making this offering of the mandala, of, imagining the universe filled with all kinds of offerings. And if you remember from course 3, where we talked about setting up an altar, what the traditional kinds of offerings are, you can imagine all of those kinds of offerings filling all of space, making offerings to all the Buddhas and all the Bodhisattvas, rejoicing, thanking them for having come to witness you take these vows. And then the last part of the conclusion of this ceremony is that the person giving the vows will say, don't advertise that you've taken the vows. Don't talk about having taken these vows, especially to people who don't understand these vows. Now, here you are. You've gone through this whole ceremony. You're very pumped up now. You're very excited. You've just joined the family of Buddhas. You're very happy. Yes. And then your teacher says, don't tell anybody. You're like, I want to tell people. I'm so excited. I want to share my happiness. This doesn't mean you can't talk with your friends who are on the spiritual path, who understand what taking the vows is all about. It's talking about those people who would think that putting others before yourself is a really dumb way to live your life. They don't understand karma. They don't understand how things work. They won't be able to understand the Bodhisattva vows. In fact, not even just not understanding, but they could say things like, well, that's just stupid. What a stupid thing you're doing. And that is them creating negative seeds. And it makes it more difficult for them in their continuation of lives to come in contact with these teachings and in a way that allows them to really hear the teachings and bring them into their hearts. The more that people get angry at someone who's keeping the vows, saying they're stupid, if you try and talk them out of it and they get more and more entrenched in their position, like, boy, no, you've joined a cult, man. You're crazy. They're planting more and more seeds to be separated from the teachings that could get them out of the realm of suffering. They don't even realize that. So best to not say anything to people who would not understand. Best to when helping people who are of other religions or who have no religion, best to just share teachings in a very general, open way. They don't have to know what vows you've taken or, how many years you've studied or anything like that. It's just making personal connections with people and introducing ideas in a very like an easy way, easy to understand and put into practice. Not like dressed up in all of the, the finery that is the Buddhist path, right? Just sharing little things about karma without using the word karma or without using the word seeds. Like putting good energy out into the world. So that's the last part of the ceremony. So the next classes will be about each of the individual vows. Going to go through all of them. And as I hope it's clear now, I hope you understand that it's very important for taking these vows that you understand them well, right? That you not only have the motivation to benefit all beings, all living beings, but that you understand what you're committing yourself to do. And so we'll go through the vows and to help prepare you, whether you take them with Geshe Michael, whether you take them with someone else, whether you don't take them at all, doesn't matter. It's good to learn these vows. One day you will take them, but you take them when you're ready. Take them when you want to take them. Okay? So let's just quickly do a dedication and dedicate this incredible merit for contemplating this ceremony that will bring us quickly to a state where we can benefit all beings. May it happen quickly, quickly. Ewa di keo kun. Sunam Yeshe Tok Shin. Sunam Yeshe Le Chue. Dampa Kuni Topar Shu. Thank you, live translators. You're amazing. I love you. Thank you, ACI people, Techie people. Thank all of you for coming. Thank Geshe Michael for creating this course. Thank you for your practice. Thank you. You're a great inspiration. Have a wonderful couple days, and we'll start diving into the individual vows on Friday.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Venerable Pala.
Thank you, teacher.
Thank you, teacher. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, teacher. Thank you very much. Thank you, dear teacher.
Okay, see you Friday.
Thank you. 感谢，拜拜。
拜西，宝贝，是。